Chapter 3, Conquering Fear. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is often misunderstood. Society teaches us to run from it, to suppress it, to see it as a weakness. But the truth is, fear is a very powerful ally if you know how to harness it. Fear sharpens your instincts, it fuels your preparation, and it keeps you humble. Handling fear is not about eliminating it, it's about using it to your advantage. The moment you lose your fear, you lose your edge. You lose the edge that keeps you focused, prepared, and most importantly, dangerous. My father's life is a testament to this lesson. He fought some of the greatest fighters in history and stood tall in moments of unimaginable pressure. But there's one fight that changed everything for him. And it wasn't just about the outcome, it was about the lesson he learned about fear. A lesson that took him years to fully understand. After becoming an Olympic gold medalist, fighting 37 fights, getting the fight for the heavyweight title of the world and winning against Joe Frazier, then defending that title a few times, my father finally agreed to fight Muhammad Ali in the legendary fight, The Rumble in the Jungle. And when he fought in The Rumble in the Jungle, he wasn't just stepping into the ring for another fight, he was expected to walk through Ali. Although he is one of the greatest fighters of all time, at the time, Ali was considered a little bit washed up and no one wanted to see him fight Big George. My father had beaten guys like Joe Frazier and Ken Norton, the two men who had both defeated Ali, and they defeated him handily. There was a lot of talk that Ali might get seriously hurt if he fought my father, that the fight would be a massacre. In truth, my father didn't even want to take the fight because he didn't want to be criticized from hurting a national hero, a man who was also believed to be past his prime. But the money was too good to pass up, and eventually he took the fight. And for the first time in his career, he walked into the ring without any fear. Every fight before that, from his amateur days to his Olympic gold medal days to his battle with Joe Frazier, he had always been consumed with nerves and fear. But he said that fear always made him dangerous. His knees shook before he stepped into the ring. His stomach churned with anxiety, and he did everything he could to get rid of that fear because he hated it. But not this time. He had become so confident in his abilities that he felt no fear walking into the ring with Ali. And that lack of fear was his undoing. With no fear to keep him sharp, my father fought out of a pure rage. He didn't think, he didn't strategize. He ignored his corner's advice. He made mistakes over and over and over, and ultimately, he was knocked out for the first and only time in his career. That night, my father learned one of the most important lessons in life. Fear is not the enemy. The absence of fear is the enemy. After that loss, my father reflected on what had gone wrong. It wasn't his strength or his skills. He was at his physical peak. It was that he had walked into the ring without any fear at all, without the sharp edge that had kept him so focused and dangerous in previous fights. Although he didn't realize it, in every other fight, fear had been his companion. It wasn't something he ran from, it was something that he had embraced. That fear, that nervous energy before the fight, was what made him train harder, spar longer. It's what pushed him beyond his limits. It made him dangerous. The moment he lost that fear, he lost his edge. Years later, when my father returned to boxing in his 40s, that fear finally became his ally. He learned not to chase it away, but to welcome it. He would say, before a fight, I'm nervous, I'm afraid, but I'm dangerous. Dangerous as a bearcat, that's what he would say. Fear was the fuel that would keep him going. It drove him to prepare like his life depended on it. He would run 10 miles a day, chop wood for hours, spar hundreds of rounds, often right up until the day before the fight. All because that fear was keeping him sharp. That fear reminded him that he could never take any opponent for granted. He couldn't take his foot off the gas. Fear kept him humble, kept him focused, and it kept him dangerous. Mastering fear doesn't mean eliminating it. It means learning how to control it, channeling it to keep you sharp. It's what makes you train harder, focus more, and respect the challenge that's in front of you right now. Without fear, you get sloppy. You make mistakes. You get reckless. My father learned that fear was not something to be suppressed. It was something to be appreciated, celebrated even. He learned to thank fear for keeping him on his toes, for reminding him that every fight, every challenge in life is a battle that requires preparation and focus, and that requires fear. In life, you're going to face moments where fear is going to completely grip you. Maybe it's fear of failure. It could be fear of embarrassment or fear of the unknown. But the moment you try to eliminate fear completely, you're in trouble. Because that fear is there for a reason. It's your body's way of gearing up for important moments. Fear is your mind telling you that you need to get ready, you need to get focused, you need to prepare. When you harness that fear, when you use it as fuel, it makes you stronger, it makes you sharper, and more importantly, it makes you dangerous. Fear and preparation. So how do we conquer fear? The best way to conquer fear is through your preparation. You got to prepare. That's where you get the confidence to stand with that fear. If you embrace it, fear pushes you to prepare more than your opponent, to leave no stone unturned. My father in his later years used that fear to fuel his training. He didn't train less because he was older. He came back to boxing when he was 38. He trained harder. He chopped wood until his arms were burning. He ran miles until his legs felt like they were on fire and his knees hurt. And he sparred every day until his body was bruised and battered, and then he sparred more. Why? Because that fear kept him humble and it kept him sharp. It reminded him that no matter how many fights he had won, no matter how many knockouts were on his record, every opponent was a new challenge. Fear kept him in tune with the idea that you're only as good as your last fight. That's a lesson I want you to take away. Fear isn't your enemy, it's your friend. It's the thing that keeps you sharp, keeps you prepared, it keeps you from becoming arrogant. Fear keeps you grounded in reality. And the more you use your fear to power your preparation, you become unstoppable. So don't run from it, stand next to it with the confidence that comes from your preparation. In conclusion, I want you to just keep saying this to yourself. Embrace fear. Fear is not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to run from. It's not something to eliminate. It's a tool, one of the most powerful tools that can push you to be better, stronger, and more prepared than you've ever been. My father's story about fighting Muhammad Ali is a testament to this truth. It was the one fight that he walked into the ring without fear, and it was the one fight where he got knocked out. But every other time, fear stayed as his companion, and it made him a champion. So don't run from it. Don't chase it away. I want you to embrace it, harness it, and let it sharpen you into the man you were born to be.